Where's the love? Where's the love? It's right here in the heart of the city. I'm Silas Grant. Got my co-pilot with me.
Big Side, what's
Tony
up, man?
Lewis told me do it.
What's going on, Slim?
Good, man. Just happy about September being
Yeah,
here.
dog. Yeah, man. It's fall. You feel it outside. The fall coming. You know what I'm saying? Got Sophie and Izzy birthdays coming up.
That's right.
Yeah, Sophie on the 20th of this month. Izzy next month on the 17th. They talking crazy too.
Yeah. So this about to be what? What are the numbers
8
this year?
and 11.
8 and 11. Right. Okay.
8 and 11,
All right.
dog. You know what I'm saying? They gonna have to figure this. The birthday too close together to keep doing that individual party. That we gonna have to do
in
a
the middle.
combo.
Like October 1 type.
Yeah,
joint.
meet in the middle. You feel me? I was just literally just talking to them about that.
Are they friends? Do they overlap friends?
Some.
Okay.
Some, but as they got now, it's sort of like they also have their own friends.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then they got, of course, family members.
Right.
You know,
Right.
cousins and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That they, very close to together. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, dog. So it's amazing this year. We in the 9th month of this year, bruh. And I really been thinking about that. Like, damn, the time is just time flying. And I think one of the things I'm clear on with all that we be having going on, it really, I think, makes the time move even faster.
Yeah.
There's always something.
I was on a walk the other day and was thinking about the fact that September 2024 marks 30 years since I entered high school. I was actually walking by Coolidge the other day, and I was like, dang, man, 30 years ago, I was coming into this building for the first time around this time. Because back then, we went to school the day after Labor Day. It was Labor Day, matter of fact.
Okay, got you. Yeah.
So, yeah, just thinking about that.
That's
and
real.
just thinking about how fast that time has gone. And something that you've been talking about a lot off and on is nostalgia and the good old days, right?
Yeah.
And my thought was like, how can I make the next 30 years memorable? I think I even made a video on Instagram about that. I do like a weekly video I drop, but that was kind of the theme. Like, how do you,
That's deep because I think what's interesting to me, and the more, I guess I ain't gonna say it's a privilege because we work for it, right? But it's a blessing, surely a blessing in a way in which, like, for a lot of people, right, the good old days, that's what it is. Like, that's what they have. But it's just that. It's always reflective in the sense that, like, those days were better than the present. And I'm blessed to say that I definitely love, the good old days. But I'm making good days now. You know what I'm saying? So to your point, my intention is that the next 30 gonna be better than the past 30. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But everybody can't say that. And my hope though is that people can really, and we talked about that here a little bit before too. It ain't over. Like, it really is not over if if that's what you decide. Like, my best day's still ahead of me, bruh.
The mind is so powerful because we think we have more control over the past than we do the future, right? But the power that we do have over the past is our ability to pick what we want to remember. But we do have a power to control the future.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it's coming and you can get prepared for it, even if it's just preparing for tomorrow.
That's no question.
It's not guaranteed that tomorrow will come for you, but
No,
you got time literally
so
tonight to
that's
get
right.
ready for tomorrow.
That's right. I mean,
If you take those steps.
that Jay-Z quote from Beach Chair is always one that always resonated with me. That I bottom my tomorrows against my yesterdays.
Mm-hmm.
And he said in hopes that she'll be okay, like in reference to like his future children. But I mean, I think people gotta understand that you really are in a position to do that, to sort of, if you will, trade. You barter your tomorrows because you can't change yesterday. And you know what I mean? Like, no matter what yesterday was, whether it was good or bad, it happened. But you are in, to your point, some relative control over what happens tomorrow, and clearly what's happening today. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I feel like people got to work from that, out of that framework. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do have some relative control. I mean, I think, you know, you got some people that believe in what they call it, predestination, right? You know, that is already written. You know what I'm saying? But I think even within that, you know, you got free will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not to get all the way off on that, but I think I want people to certainly understand that you can't just be like a leaf blowing in the wind, bro. Like, you really have to be intentional.
Yeah.
You know?
Last thing I'll say on this, shout out to Mike Powell. He had a birthday this week.
Birthday, Mike P.
He always says to me, you either have what you want or the reasons why you don't. Right? You can't have both. You either have what you want or you have the reasons why you don't. And that word have is so important because it speaks to possession.
Yeah.
And anything you possess, you want to make it grow. So what I found with people who are really nostalgic and strictly nostalgic, they, even their shortcomings, they build out the story. It gets bigger and bigger as time goes on, right? If they got cut from the basketball team, if they had the baddest girl back in the day, but it fell apart, like the story gets better and better because they have the reasons why they don't, which means that they possess it. And to possess something means that you let it grow, like you let it blossom. So a person's story about a failure gets better and better as time goes on. It's unfortunate that we live in a world where people do that. But I always think about that. You either have what you want or you have the reasons why you don't. And you possess those reasons why you don't when you live in the past and you don't have any inspiration to go forward.
Yeah, man. And I and it's deep because it's like I don't judge folks that do that, right? And I know that it's a reason, right? There are reasons, multiple reasons sometimes about why people do that, and you know, I just like to encourage people though to keep on, man. You keep on creating, man. You know what I mean? You can do that, create better times, and you know, I would think it would be a shame if at 44, right, I felt like the best years of my life were when I was 15. You know what I'm saying? 17. Like that. Like I think about that like in that way. Like, damn, like, come on, man.
You'll stumble your way to like 80
I
today
hope so.
because of technology, right?
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, people still die early, right? But like, my point is, there are people who still living in that 17-year-old period. And I'm not judging them either. But I'm pointing out that at 44, 45, they still revert back to the 17-year-old lifestyle. And it's not like they're going to die soon. They're going to probably live another 30 years.
Or, I think you bring up a good point in the sense, though. Like, some people never stop living that way.
Yeah.
So they're older, but their lives are really very similar to what their lives were like when they were 17. And I think that is part of the problem somewhat, right? Like, you're just older, but you don't think differently. You don't do anything differently. You know, you might have more responsibility. You might have a kid or some kids or something. But really, your day-to-day ain't that different. Yeah. I know people that's like do the same thing we was doing when we was 17, when we was 12.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's it's something to be said about that. You know what I mean? Because it's not, you know, certain things don't just automatically come with age. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't change the way you think.
Yeah, day by day, it builds up. Yeah.
So I think that does also play a role where you find people sort of trying to experience or having similar experiences and expecting it to feel the same as it felt 20 years ago.
Chasing that high, chasing that experience.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's almost impossible to do that, though. Yeah. You understand? Yeah, you can. There's certain things that you just can't. You will never have it again. Not that. Yeah. You know, I remember, you know, early on in my career trying to teach people how to transition from the streets to, you know, the workforce. And, you know, one of the things I used to always share with them is that, like, one of the key things is, like, you can't try to find the streets on this side of the world. You're gonna find yourself back in the street because nothing can really compare to that. You have to be okay with being done with that way of life. You know what I mean? You can't try to I don't care. And people used to often think it was just about the amount of money that you could, you know, if you made in a job. You know, it's not just about the amount of money you make. You know what I mean? If you're chasing something that job or the professional way of life can't give you, you're going to find yourself back there. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think so many times people have not grown past, they want that. that's their idea of like the pinnacle of what life could be, and so they find themselves just, intertwined in that. And I think, again, it doesn't necessarily bear the fruit that they want, and then that's when they start saying, "Man, I remember when," you know what I'm saying? Because everything about right now don't seem to be as satisfying for them.
Yeah,
you know.
Let me ask you a question. Going back to childhood, what's the earliest memory you have of a lesson you learned about accountability or integrity?
Oh, man. The earliest lesson I learned that I can remember was, I probably was 4 or 5 years old. We was around Hanover, and, they used to have the lines. People, the customers becoming copping. And a dude, I don't know if he cut the line or he was messing up the line. And they used to have dudes patrolling the lines, with like bats. Like this. He got hit, he jumped out the line or cut the line, whatever. And dude beat him with a bat. And I remember asking my father, like, why he do that? Why they was beating him with that bat. You know what I'm saying? And my father basically was telling me he did something he wasn't supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I remember that. And that may sound to some people, that is what it is though, right? But I learned then that you don't, you follow orders, or, you don't try to, get in front of people when, So that was, I got a real lesson from that.
Yeah, from watching
something that people may, demonize or like, but nah. You don't try to cut in front of people. You don't try to take advantage of people. That was a lesson I learned, about doing things the right way, about integrity, and about being accountable, right? Doing what you're supposed to do type of thing. So yeah, that was super early, bro. And that really was a foundational thing in my sense of morality and integrity and accountability. That was from that incident, you know what I'm saying? And it was sort of, those kind of things were consistently reinforced in my house and in my family, that you don't lie, you don't steal, you don't cheat, you don't do something and then blame somebody else for it, or put somebody else in front of you to take the brunt or the consequences for something that you decided to do. I'm talking from really, really, really small. Yeah, and the foundation of that was that moment. I'll never forget that.
Yeah. I was thinking about that today for myself, in a very small example in comparison to that. But I remember my dad and I, when we would go to church, he just was a real stickler for like hang your clothes up the right way. And I mean, like making sure the crease was, on the hanger the right way, and that if you hang it right, it won't wrinkle and that sort of thing. And I used to wonder, as like a 7, 8, 9-year-old, like he would stop and be like, no, hang your clothes up, right? Yeah. And later on as an adult, you figure out the importance of it, because you don't want to have to go to the cleaners every time you wear the suit. But I just remember the attention he paid to not just that, but like packing, unpacking, just the systems he created, and the connection to accountability is that this is your stuff.
Yeah, it's yours.
You're not about to, we're not about to buy you 12, 13 suits.
Yeah, take care of it.
I remember, just a side note, my mother took me shopping to go get a suit, and just the 90s, right? So in living color, all that sort of stuff, right? So I wanted this like olive green suit, right?
Yeah.
You remember Oak Tree?
Oak Tree, yeah.
Oak Tree, right?
Yeah.
So we all Oak Tree, and she was like, first of all, you ain't got but like 2 or 3 suits.
Yeah.
So you can't bust that olive green out every other Sunday.
Right.
You can't,
yeah.
right? But just a side note, like just
Oak Tree, Slim.
Oak Tree.
That's crazy.
But just along the lines of understanding what your resources are, your limitations in that regard, and taking care of what you do have.
Taking care of what you have.
And that'll take you a long way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought about that, because one of the things that's been on my mind a lot recently is, for me, what can I do? What's in my control? And with so many conversations lingering locally and nationally, internationally, it's a lot of finger pointing at what somebody else could be doing.
Yeah.
And accountability and integrity has been on my mind a lot
Yeah.
as a result.
You know one of the other things, man, that early lesson I got from like my Uncle Boo was like, if you got money, right? If you have some money on you, don't ask nobody for no money.
Sure.
Right? Like don't, so like in essence, don't be greedy. But you a kid, and you around the crap game, around the hustles, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You might got, say $40. You got a little money on you for a kid. You know what I'm saying? And somebody might say, but you still ask, hey, Uncle such and such, can I have $10? Can I have $20? Anybody say I remember, so I was like, hey, boo, let me get $20, boo. He was like, oh, you ain't got no money? I was like, no, I got like $40 or whatever. He said, why you asking me for my money? Ask me for something when you ain't got nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give you whatever, but don't use me. Don't abuse the fact that you know that I'll give you something if you ask for it. You know what I'm saying? It was like a level of shame that came over me in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, I ain't never trying to feel like that again. And I'm not never trying to disappoint him again in that way. You know what I mean? I took those things with me. You know what I'm saying? And I bring that up to say this. I said that to Isabella Saturday.
Yeah.
That exact same thing. And it's funny because she kind of gave me the same look I know that I gave Boo.
Yeah.
She was feeling the way that I felt, that she like ashamed, like, oh, I'm sorry, Dad. I'm like, yeah, don't do that. If you got money already, why are you asking me for money? Or why are you saying you need for what? The point is that, like, those lessons have guided me, especially in the way that I grew up and what I grew up around. Things like greed, things like not having integrity, things like not having accountability really kept me. You understand what I'm saying? Because in the environment that I grew up in, and even after that, but by the time I'm saying when I get into the professional world, those things are already a part of me. But in the environment that we grew up in, if you ain't had those things, man, I'm seeing people die because of these. You know what I mean? When you don't have no boundaries or no parameters that they have been created from those before you, but that you have adopted and saying, nah, it's just certain things, bro, I'm just not going to do. I just can't. I'm not doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's important to your point of like, what can I? People must have personal parameters, man. And this ain't from a judgmental standpoint, but the world, like, as human beings, bro, it's so many things we get pulled in so many different directions. You have to affirm, I'm not doing that. And if you do that enough, I feel like, or you carry yourself with enough integrity and enough accountability, certain things, and I thank God for this in my situation, certain things won't even make it to you.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
They'll select you out like, oh, nah, we ain't even coming that way.
Sure.
You feel what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And my whole life has been, I've had to be that way. It was danger every turn. So it was like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing some of that. I had to affirm and verbally to people, but then some of it I didn't. They already understood what I was on.
I found this for me to be the case, and I'm gonna ask you, as young men responsible for ourselves only, you get these accountability and integrity lessons put before you. Now you inherit a wife, you got 2 kids, I got a wife, I got a kid, right? And the world knows you or me the way the world knows us and how we present ourselves, but nobody knows us like our family, right?
Sure.
Talk a bit about accountability and integrity with your family, like your nuclear family, and how that has maybe challenged you at a different level. Yeah,
that's a great question. The primary thing for me in terms of being a husband and a dad is really knowing unequivocally that whatever I do impacts them.
Yeah.
Full stop. So I'm literally no longer, I love the way you frame the question, because literally I know without a shadow of doubt that I'm just responsible for me anymore. Whether I want to, whether that I want that or not. anything and everything that I do impacts them. You know what I mean? So it really has, not in a way in which it's been like a weight, but I think as far as me understanding what it means to be a man or to be a husband, to be a dad, like my purpose is like really tied to the fact that, yeah, bruh, you and I deserve to have my time. I can make mistakes, whatever the case, but I always know that whatever those things are, they're going to impact them. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to impact. It could potentially impact more people than them. But I know for a fact, whatever happens to me, happens to them.
I remember when I first realized that having my dad's name meant something, and you have that same situation, right? You're named after your dad. I'm named after my dad. And I remember in certain circles, I could go certain places. And I wouldn't do this purposely, but in conversation, I would say my name and people would be like, oh, that's your dad, right? And then now, I don't have a son, so nobody's named after me. But the other day, I walked in Trinity Deli, right? And Valerie and Molly had gone in there before I had come in there.
Right.
They were on their walk, and I came in later on to grab some water or something like that. And the guy cooking was like, yeah, I just seen your wife and your daughter.
Yeah.
And the community where we live, where we go, people know them because of me.
Sure enough.
And to your point, like, that's about my behavior, my actions, my activities, my reputation. All of that, like, allows them to be afforded privilege or favor.
Correct.
As a result, right?
Correct.
So I only can imagine if I did the 180.
No secret.
What it would do.
Yep.
And I think the other piece is that, you know, in that partnership, in that marriage, how you show up for that person is so important, right? I remember early on in the marriage just saying to myself, you need to be as excited about going out with her as you would be when you're going out with the homies, right? Right. And, you know, I think a part of that's being accountable to be invested in every part of this relationship.
Yep.
The necessities, but also the social part, the growth and development piece of it. And just understanding that, to your point, like, everything I do impacts her.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Even my ability to reinvest in being around her.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Nah, that's real. I remember the day I think I really realized for me, like, what was different between us being, you know, a couple, being boyfriend and girlfriend, versus when we got us being married.
Mm-hmm.
And it was when I realized that it was like an argument type situation. But what I realized the difference was that in my mind, it was like, it wasn't an option to, like, remove myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it made me more motivated to sort of, like, figure that out.
Yeah, you ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, like, so now I need to figure this out, because I'm not. This is it. Like, I'm not going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? I remember that though, because that was a big shift for me. Cause we get the beef and I'm gone. You know, I'm rolling. And I remember that though, like, damn, like, nah, it's not that we argued a lot, even as boyfriend and girl. We didn't really have a lot of arguments at all, really, like that. But I'm saying, in the times when I just get angry, I'd be like, but that situation happened, and that didn't happen. It was like, nah, that's over. That ain't even an option no more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm saying that to say, like, as it relates to not only growth, but that accountability piece, where this really us. We won now. We in this together. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, nah, I have to. That's my duty at this point. We got to figure this out. You know what I'm saying? You get on my nerves, but we gonna figure this shit out. You know what I'm saying?
I remember, so my mom is home a lot, so we still get packages delivered there. She gonna get the package. And I remember we weren't even a year into our marriage, and I went to go pick up some mail over there one day. My mother was like, everything all right? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
right? I ain't know where she was going with it, right? Everything all right? I'm like, yeah, everything cool. And I forgot the exact particulars of the back and forth, the volley in the conversation, but I think she was doing a temperature check to see how the marriage was going.
Right.
And I had to stop her and look her in the face and be like, listen, we good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One, we good, but like, you ain't ever got to worry about me not being all in on what I said in front of everybody on that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I think that was a moment for me, like having to reassure her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, nah, everything is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's like, I think in those situations, you know what I mean? You know, I'm the last person to be like, man, I always tell people, they might ask like, oh, hey, man, you know, they might be getting married or thinking about getting married. I'm like, man, I ain't the advice guy for you. You know, I don't really do that. I just be telling people, man, you got to find your rhythm. You and her got to find what works for y'all and find that and make it. I don't care if it don't look like what everybody else do. The only people that need to be all in on that or agree or think it's the right way is you and her. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I think, but based on that, I'm just again speaking back to being accountable to that person. But that starts with you having personal accountability. You know what I'm saying? And the marriages can be like, for a lot of people, and for I think it can be. I don't like using the word difficult, right? Because that to me that's too.
You know what I hate? When people do tributes to their spouse for anniversaries and be like, yeah, we had our ups and downs. They ain't always. Like, why you gotta say that?
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's what I mean. That. That's why. That's why you saying the exact same thing I'm saying about.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, young.
Yeah, like.
And I'm saying we people. You people like all that ups. Now listen, man. Happy we in this jump. Yeah. You know what I mean? We in this. You know what I'm saying? And then I think also it's like, because the idea of, well, I ain't gonna say this because it would like this whole sort of quote unquote fairy tale thing, but yeah, it can be a fairy tale, but it's got to be your fairy tale, not somebody else's ideal of like what marriage should be. You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't really even talk marriage with people. Man, you talk all the time, and if I vent to you about something but I'm never like, young, hey, what you and Val do in this situation?
You know what I found? I think people like advice to avoid accountability.
What you mean by that? Unpack that.
So sometimes you can talk to somebody. Again, we talked about memories right earlier.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're waiting to hear what aligns with what you want to hear.
Yeah, facts.
Or what you already had planned to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not against counseling, because we did premarital counseling. I get that, right?
Sure.
But I think with accountability, there's a commitment, and this is across the board, not even just marriage or parenthood, right? There is a commitment that I'm going to figure this out, right? Going back to my story of transformation, when I got the information from Kenny and from Josh about things to do to modify my lifestyle, I didn't go to them like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this. I was like, yo, I got to figure this out. Yeah. So I ain't need much consultation.
Right.
When I got married, the day I got married, I went to go get some stuff from my mother and father's house. All my father did was shook my hand. That was it. Yeah. That was all the advice I needed.
Oh, man.
He looked me in the eye, and I read exactly what he was saying.
Go. That's right.
And I think, again, I'm not saying counsel's not good.
Sure.
But sometimes we belabor ourselves with dialogue, trying to avoid accountability.
That's right. That makes sense. And I think especially in situations like marriages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This ain't, hey man, how did you write your business plan? Some things ain't transferable. You got to do what's work for y'all two. What work for me may not work for you.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying like, yo, don't talk to nobody about your marriage. That's not what I'm saying. But if people go into it and say, oh, well, y'all working. Yeah, maybe, but y'all setup might be different. With y'all expectations, y'all accountability to each other, which y'all been doing already or whatever. So it's like, I always tell people, look, fine, but I think whatever you gonna do to make it work, it start with you. Right. And like, if you can make your spouse feel or understand that you are in it with them, that they're not alone, and whatever they going through, it could be work, it could be dealing with the kids, it could be house related stuff, it could be, whatever their hobbies might be. Are you, walking, step by step with them to figure out how can you be helpful. And I don't always do the best job at that, you know, but I'm conscious of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's how you work through. I think once people start feeling like they're not supported, that the other person is not accountable or being an accountability partner with them and whatever it may be. I get, you know, I think also sometimes, you know, and I've struggled here in my marriage around a difference of opinion in terms of like what's important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think my if I was to share advice with somebody, it got to be what I've learned. It ain't about what you feel is. It's only what you think is important. You know what I mean?
It ain't just you anymore.
Yeah.
So what I would say
Facts.
to anybody looking for like advice in any area, marriage, professional, whatever it is, right? Your techniques may not work for me. I'm looking for what your mindset is, right? So if I'm coming to you asking you, how do you and your wife operate? Again, those techniques might not work for me, but I'm trying to get from you, like, where's your focus mentally?
Yeah.
That's the advice that I'm asking for,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know, if it's professionally, like, how are you approaching your work week? How are you approaching your business? Like, what's the focus that you have? Don't tell me the hacks that you do because they might not work for me, but I just want to know the mindset.
Yeah,
I go to bed at 9 p.m. because I got to get up, or, you know, I hit the gym first thing because that opens up my mind to be able to think. Or, you know, with my wife and I, we set up time to talk on a particular day of the week. Like, tell me the mindset.
Sure.
And I think I'll figure out the techniques that
what
work for
works,
me.
Yeah, how to meld that in.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think anybody asking or requesting information needs to come at it from that direction. It's like nobody has your silver bullet though.
Right.
It's what I realize. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, I see people trying to, like, and I ain't even saying they trying to get the shortcut, but it's like it's just one of them things where what works for you might not work for me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I want people to understand that you got the answers. You know what I mean? You just gotta sometimes be you know, you got to be introspective enough to be honest enough, because I be believing that, you know, we know what we got to do. You know what you got to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to ask me how to make your marriage better. Talk to your wife.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She'll tell you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, y'all have to figure that out. There might be certain things that she may say she needs you to do or wants you to do that you can't do or you ain't willing to do or you don't see it that way, and that's cool. But don't be looking outside. Go talk to her.
Yeah, trying to find what aligns with
You
what you're
hear
already
me?
thinking.
Yeah, too many people be doing. I see that's what I see a lot online. And again, not just in relationships, but in general. You trying to think you gonna watch somebody's video and then now you got the whole game plan for the rest of your life. Like, come on. Not to say don't watch the video. Not to say that can't feed nothing inside of you and give you some insight. But bro, the creator gave you them tools, man. You know what I'm saying? I think but one of the things about being accountable, again, it does take a lot of self-reflection, though. You know, it takes a lot of honesty about, you know, yourself, and you got to have the desire to grow. I think that is important. You know what I mean? Like you talked about the mindset, your ideology about your role in the world, but like for us, to your original question, like for me, I think what my role is within my family unit. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's my role? You know, it's like when I get up in the morning, that's the thing. When I get up in the morning, young, take a shower, brush my teeth, put my clothes on, depending on what day it is, but I know I gotta go down there and fix them girls' lunch, bro. I know I got to do that. Do I want to do that? Maybe not, right? Do I feel like, or when I wake up, I'm like, damn, I got to get up and fix their lunch. I don't feel like doing that. But guess what? I know I have to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't an option. And then for so many, or I got to drop them off. They got to get to school. And for so many people, I feel like, especially people that have children, right? Parents should be able to understand that. Like, when you an adult and you a dad, you know what I'm saying, or mom, you know, that's you have to do those things. Like you are accountable to them. You know what I'm saying? You have to do that. Some people don't though. Right? For whatever, some people don't. Some people pass the buck. Some people, or some people just can't. Right? They're not in the same house. So I'm not saying in that way. But what I mean is that example or that scenario is a microcosm of how I see my entire day though. Every time, every interaction I'm having, all the service and the work, everything that I'm doing is with them, my wife and my kids in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? That guides me. They my North Star in that way.
Yeah.
Everything we doing trying to make the world a better place it's for everybody, but it's for them though. You know what I'm saying? That's how I see it. Until I leave here, that is my role. You know what I'm saying? If I ever lose sight of that, you know what I mean? If I ever lose sight of that, I feel like that's going to be my destruction. You know what I mean?
You talked about work, and in your full-time, not even your job, but your mission, you have been committed to taking people who are not always the easiest to be hired and getting them ready for the workforce, right? You do a lot of that work, right? There's probably nobody in the country doing that work the way you do that, right, for that population.
I appreciate it.
We've got all these industries that are evolving nationally, globally. And what I noticed, and you and I talked about this some weeks ago offline, we had like airplanes that were like missing parts, and they had to, land planes early, and people not paying attention to the job they have in front of them. And like everyone's complaining about, maybe I don't get paid enough. Maybe I want a better job, but not really focused on the role right in their lap right now, 100%. Right? You even had some dialogue today online with people.
They went crazy.
On you.
Missed what I was saying totally.
So let's start with like the original intent, because I think that's an accountability integrity conversation too.
It really was. The original intent was sparked by some situations that I had in the past week where I literally just know people aren't doing their good jobs too, right? That they don't take it seriously to the point where they don't understand the gravity of their role, what their role is, and what happens if they don't do it well. But because we work in life and death, right? But then aside from that, and this ain't that statement ain't about like my job. I'm talking about in the scenario I was in. It was outside of my job, but it was in some work I was doing. But what's important is that you see in this, and I'm sure it's everywhere, but I'm just speaking from what I see here in DC, where everything is about ambition. Is so present here. And I'm an ambitious person, but I feel like people are blinded by it, where they are so focused on what's next that they not mastering what they doing right now. All they doing is trying to leverage where they are right now and to get to where they think they want to go or should be, and that's fine. But you still have to serve. You still have to do what you need to do in this moment. You have to be accountable to where you are. You got to have some integrity in your product. You got to have some integrity in what you do. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So what I was saying was really veiled in that. And like the fact that people are so focused on what's next and not paying attention to
what the job owes them and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
That they not being effective at what they do. And again, but to the example that you started off with, and what I think is with the airplanes, right? People could die. And what we do, if people don't do their job correctly, bro, people die.
Yeah, people could die.
People could die. And I just think it's across, people just don't take pride in what they do anymore in any regard. You know what I'm saying? Everything is, but I think it speaks to a level of like selfishness as well. And a lack of concern or accountability. Everybody, nobody care. I don't care what nobody think about me, man. I don't, we in that. And it's like, well, you should. You know what I'm saying? Not to the point where you start to like dislike yourself, But you should definitely, I care what you think, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I care about that. I care what my wife think. I care what them two little girls think. What you mean? Well, how could I don't have the luxury to be like, I don't care what nobody think about me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what you talking about? Them people that allow me to be a part of their lives and trying to help them go from A to B, I care what they think. And I also, more important, I also care what happened to them. They're not just some pawns in my, scheme to elevate. I care. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's I'm always taking back. Some people, I don't remember everybody's name, but like a lot of people, if I don't remember their name, I remember like where we interacted, right?
Right.
And oftentimes, like it's some people I might see I ain't seen in 17 years. I might have helped them 17 years ago, 15 years ago. And when I be remembering their names, they be like, damn, son, you remember? I'm like, yeah, bro. Yeah, bro, like, you remember my name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This ain't no joke. And if I don't remember your name, I'll tell you where you from. I'll tell you where we met at.
Yeah.
Cause it's that serious to me. That don't make me, I ain't perfect, but what I'm saying is I take what I do extremely seriously. It's not a game. And my expectation for folks in certain roles is that they take their job serious as well.
I was reading a book called Clear Thinking by Shane Parrish, and he told a story. He was in the intelligence space, mm-hmm. right? So he dealt with very complex problems of international levels, right? He told a story about Henry Kissinger, mm-hmm. and there was a memo that somebody wrote that they were going to submit to Kissinger, and then he was going to take it and create something from it and then publish it.
Secretary of State for Richard Nixon, by the way.
Yes. So you're talking about that level, right? Mm-hmm. The guy submitted the memo. Henry Kissinger didn't even look at it. He said, "Is that your best work?" And the guy was like, "I don't know, like maybe." Yeah. All right, go do it again and tell me when it's your best work. He did it again, submitted it to Henry Kissinger again. Kissinger was like, "Is that your best work?" Mind you, he never looked at the document. The guy was like, "I probably could work on it a little more." By the third time he submitted it, and Kissinger asked him again, "Is this your best work?" And he was like, "Yeah, it is."
Yeah.
And then he looked at the memo, right? My point in telling that story is that we have to have pride in the work that we do. We have to have pride in the product that we have in front of us that we're giving to somebody else.
That's right.
And I was doing a training today for some folks that work in DC government. And mind you, there's 30,000 employees for DC government, right? And I was talking to this room and I said, listen, you need to be prepared in the event that the mayor asks you about your contribution to the agency that you work for. Mm-hmm. And what does that look like? And I asked a question in the room, have you ever thought about what would happen if you had a one-on-one with the mayor? Or if your agency or your group said, we're sending you to represent us? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But what I've learned, Tony, is that obscurity is something that we're all chasing, right? I want to work from home and all I'm going to do is just clock in. I ain't trying to really do no work. I'm going to chill over here and get a check. But that undermines the quality of who we are and the quality of the work that we produce, mm-hmm. right? Because what is it to have gotten paychecks every 2 weeks, but you really not contributing anything?
Yeah.
After a certain while, after a while, like there's a sense of fulfillment that we all chase too.
That's that boo lesson. You asking for money,
Yeah.
Not for real. You ask for money that you shouldn't be asking for. Yeah. And that, I mean, right? Like you said, like you want to know that you contribute. And I often I tell people all the time. I tell people this thing: work is gonna work. Work is gonna work. Like whether you at home or in the office, if the work is gonna work, man. And I want to always be a worker. I mean, meaning it's just not just like working for somebody, but I'm just saying I want to contribute.
Producer.
I want to produce, bro. And I want to be proud of what it is. Like I said, the product.
Ain't nobody saying you gotta like work all 8 hours if you at home. Ain't nobody saying that.
Just give it.
But
effort,
whatever
bro.
You giving, like if it take you 2 hours to do it, man, give it the best 2 hours.
It shouldn't be about that, and that has to me, that's an internal thing. Not just, it ain't just about somebody above you wagging a finger at you, you know, over your shoulder looking at you. Nah, it's about you. You know what I mean? It's about you. Like my direct report. One thing he know about me, bro, I'ma get it done. He ain't gotta check back in with me or none of that. You know what I mean? Tone, what's up? What we doing? He already know I'ma get it done. You know? And yes, I get everybody not in their passion, everybody not doing what they love, you know.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, but this is more about when you find that thing that you love.
But
how do you get to that thing?
But I think accountability has the ability to show up when you aren't doing the thing you love.
That's where you grow it at.
Yeah.
It's with, so yes, I'm saying that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Right, absolutely. You're building, and that's what I was saying too in the tweets. You got, this is the preparation for when you get to where you want to go.
Yeah, work the land you want now.
Facts. And to me, we preoccupied with the finish line, bro. We're preoccupied with that, young. Like the part of the race, this part of the race or the training, all of that, that's preparing you to actually cross the finish line. You can't just have somebody deliver you at the finish line. You know what I'm saying? The next race you're gonna lose because you don't have what it take. You know what I'm saying? And again, this is cross industry. We seen that. The people with these meteoric rises, you know what I'm saying? And then you see them today and then they gone tomorrow. Yeah, because they wasn't prepared. You know what I'm saying? And that sort of, and I think also with that personal accountability, what it does too is it motivates you to keep getting better. You know what I'm saying? It motivates you to borrow and watch with people. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna do this. You know, because you're just trying to improve. You know what I'm saying? And even the things you don't like. You know how many things about my job or regardless me as a professional, just in total in my entirety that I really don't necessarily enjoy doing. You know what I'm saying? Or my challenges of not being organized. You know what I'm saying? My challenges of not putting enough focus on data collection. You know, I just don't like to do it. I can do it. And I've gotten better at doing these things, but I'm just pointing out those two things as being the things I know I have to work on, right? And so, but it's like, if I have to produce a project, right, that requires, that's heavy on those two things, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm going to have to do. I'm not going to produce something and be like, oh, man, well, man, you know, all this, the narrative is strong. Man, you know, all the qualitative stuff is there, man, but I ain't feel like breaking all that out, no spreadsheet and doing it. No, I ain't do that. I can't do that.
Yeah, you can't just mail it in.
You know what I mean? I can't produce a mediocre product, bro. As much as I feel like it's been time where I just be like, man, I don't even care. I'm just going to, no. I go through that emotion, but then it's like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
You know?
So in certain industries, I'm thinking off the top, like the medical industry and like the legal industry, if you are a practicing lawyer or if you are a practicing physician, there's certain like character requirements that you have to have, right? And not every industry has that sort of requirement.
Yeah.
But as a professional, character development is as important as skill development and professional development. Talk a bit about, from the lens of accountability and integrity, what it is to develop character as a professional. Yeah. And if you have any stories of like your own character development path.
Yeah, that's a good question, man. I think
and let me tell you why I'm asking it. Because we talk about this all the time, you and I. But so many people that we are around that we're trying to develop and build, they have this mindset of, I'm just going to do my 8 hours and I can do what I want to do with the other 16. So that's the lens from which I'm asking.
I got you. But I think I came into the workforce. I mentioned some of the lessons I learned from street culture, right? But I really, people may see, they look at street culture so much from like a amoral lens. that I think it makes them lose sight of the character, the morals and principles that one can develop out of that lifestyle. That because if you weren't accountable, if you didn't do what you said, if you cheated, if you lied, if you steal, the consequences were grave. So I come from that. In that mindset, right, of like doing the right thing, because if you don't, it's dire consequences, right? And so, being in the work world, I always wanted to have high character. I always wanted to be seen as a high character guy, a guy that you could depend on, a guy who did what he said he was gonna do. You know what I'm saying? A guy people could depend on, and but a lot of that is in a professional setting. That's backed up by your work. You know what I mean? And I took a lot. I wanted people to be a Tony, somebody who come to work, Tony, somebody who produces, Tony, a team player, Tony, is supportive, Tony can lead, but Tony can follow. You know, all of those kind of things, and you know, that's why I don't really feel like I had leadership that I didn't necessarily see eye to eye with, but I never had leadership that I clashed with, and the reason for that was because of those things.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And it's like, because that was really important to the household I came out of outside of the professional space. You know what I'm saying? That's how we operated. And so I just took that with me into the workforce.
Right.
You know? And like any other thing, you know what I mean, you be around, I always learn from the people around me too. You see things, you see the outcomes, you're like, nah, I ain't gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or boom, all right, yeah, you probably can, you know what I mean, go to lunch a little longer than normal, but I ain't gonna do that every day. You know, little things just keep you, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so as far as, and then you know, even in our work, man, like working with people may consider vulnerable populations, like, and then you an adult and you work with adults as the client. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of things that you can find yourself involved in if you don't have high character. You know what I'm saying? And like legal profession, doctors, a lot of that is about that too, because people know the type of things that they'll be faced with in those professions. Or why do you feel like you gotta have a baseline of like high character? And then for real, and I'm saying that to say, because like in our line of work, I think that is as much of that sort of same level. You know what I'm saying?
Because vulnerability is important to point out, especially when like you're trying to build people, because you build personal relationships with people. They observe more than just your work. They observe your lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Right? And so they pick up more on that. They get inspired more by that than the actual work you provide for them.
Yeah, or it's all intertwined.
Oh yeah, it's all intertwined. Yeah.
To me, we said it, but for real, it is, bro. Because they're gonna see you can't be up in front of people telling them how to live their life, but then they see you. They gonna see you later. Y'all share space, y'all. You know what I mean?
It's funny because I've had Molly at home a lot this summer. She didn't go to camp this summer, so a lot of my training she's been in the classrooms, right? Yeah. And again, population of people that we working with, I noticed them watching she and I have basic interactions. Yeah, bro. No toxicity, no me yelling. Yeah. It's just like, hey, go sit right there for a minute. Yeah. Or, I think people enjoy seeing that.
100%.
And it's more than just me pointing the slides and talking to them.
Yeah, but when you go and talk to them, that's a point of reference.
Yes.
They know, oh yeah, I can listen to them. I can listen to that. I hear him. You know what I'm saying? Because something about that exchange with his kids showing me that, like, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about. And it's like I've always been aware of that. It's just interesting. It's like too now. What's funny is that in my career, a lot of times I used to be younger than the quote unquote clients.
Right.
You know what I mean? But now I got into an age now where a lot of the clients are younger than me. You know what I mean? And it's like the first time where, and I'm saying that to say that now what we're discussing has become even more important. because before I was the teacher, but I was still younger. You know what I mean? So they was inspired by me, of course, but you know what I mean? It was a different role. It was more inspiration, but like now, and modeling to a certain degree, but now I'm older than them. So they really looking to me for what I demonstrate. You know what I'm saying? So like rather is, and it's not at this point, it's not like I say, oh, I'm gonna post this on, but I'm just sharing my real life because I really live how you see me. So it ain't even nothing to it. But people have talked to me about what man, I love. When I see your man, I took my son there. I saw you took your daughters there. I said, all those type of things. And I really take, again, back to the level of serious. I really take that seriously because think about if we were showing them something different, or we were showing them the same things that they've been seeing, bro. Yeah. You know what I mean? We in the room saying this, that, and the third, and then I ain't never gonna live a lie.
Yeah.
You feel me? But I think also for me, I know people don't necessarily. It's not even about doing all the right things all the time, but it's like, when you in a court and you living your life based on the principles we've been discussing. You know what I mean? Again, it's not even a thought put into it. It's just how life goes. But so many people, and yeah, this is subjective, you know what I'm saying? What's right to me might not be right to you. But I personally believe some things universal law, man. You know what I mean? And people, they just aren't around people enough that's going to point out, and let them know, man, that ain't all right. That ain't all right. You can't tell me, I don't care if you got children out here and you're choosing not to be involved in their lives. You know that ain't right. Ain't nobody got to tell you that. Yeah. Things like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hurting people for no reason. Ain't nobody got to tell you that. Yeah. You can justify all that ain't what you supposed to be on. You know what I'm saying?
So one of the things that I think about as you're talking is for people that are looking to grow in the areas of accountability and integrity, I think sometimes the best way to grow is to find yourself in a situation where you haven't been accountable and then make the shift, right? Yeah. Are there any thoughts you have, anything you could share around how to get somebody into, like somebody's at a low moment right now, right?
Yeah.
They're fighting whether or not they take accountability for whatever it is they got going on. Like what would be your talk to them?
Yeah, my advice to that person would be the fastest route out of that rut is to take accountability, right? Be able to own your role in whatever it is, right? Own it. Once you own it, don't be a prisoner to it. Own it. If it's about apologizing for it, right? And then work on getting stronger, getting to a place where you don't make that, learn from it, grow from it. You know what I mean? Too many times I feel like people don't understand the power in accountability and acknowledgement. It's a power in that. Acknowledging you're a human being. People, we make mistakes. I messed up. You know what I mean? It may not, go away right away, but like I messed up. Because once you apologize genuinely about something, I feel people can try to hold you accountable to it all you want, but you're free from it. The work is now, what do you do after that? You know what I mean? And and whatever I've ever done in my life, like where I felt like when I had opportunity, once I acknowledged that, damn, I fucked up, spin back, I'm sorry, boom, we moving forward and whatever it is. And I think for people, especially people that you might have harmed or, hurt, whatever, people, it may not happen instantaneously, but people can, and then when your actions from that point on show that you work to get better, and even if that person don't necessarily, or those people may not necessarily forgive you, you can forgive yourself. And you should be able to move forward, man. But like, to deflect, to not own things, it's gonna be hard. You know what I mean? For you lose more when you don't do that. Yeah. People, because it's gonna be hard for you to rebuild relationships. It's gonna be hard for you to even establish new relationships because that becomes your reputation that, you know what I mean, you're not accountable. You know what I mean? People don't want to be around people that ain't going to own them. Yeah, people don't want to be around that.
I think there are a couple of things I would say. One, and I do agree there are times when people make mistakes, but then there's sometimes when people are just wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
And they knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, correct. They made a decision.
It made a decision.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that if you in that situation and you know that clearly, that wording, I was wrong, I messed up, right? It's important. I think that's number one. Number two, just a personal pet peeve of mine, right? I don't know if I said it on here before or not, but either way, I do not like when people say, if I offended you, I apologize. You know you offended.
You know, yeah.
Just say I apologize.
For sure.
Even if you didn't offend that person.
That's interesting. Because that, like saying that and saying I made a mistake is almost sort of like not being fully accountable.
Not being fully accountable. Let me tell you a quick story, right? A quick story, right? You know, again, I walk every day. I was having a conversation about that with some friends of mine, right? It's not really on the top of my mind, scenarios they going through in real time. When my dad passed away, I went walking that morning. He died like 1 a.m. I went to sleep after I left the hospital, got up around 9, 10 o'clock, did my walk. So we were talking, me and like two friends, and I was just talking about my daily walks. And I was like, yeah, you know, I've just been committed to doing it. It don't matter what's going on. I'm going to get up and do that walk. And I was like, man, you know what, man? My dad died, and I went to sleep and got up and went for my walk the next morning, right? One of my friends in the circle, dad had died. He took it really rough.
Yeah.
His dad died. And he ain't say nothing. And I sent him a message. It was on my mind for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I sent him a message like, bro, when we was talking like 2 weeks ago, I said something and it was offensive. Because who am I to expect everybody to get up and do what I did?
Sure.
Your grief is different than mine.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I wasn't offended. And I was like, bruh, it's not about you being offended. I was wrong. I apologize.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So I'm a real stickler for, don't tell me if I offended you. Nah, I did something wrong.
You took accountability.
Took accountability.
Independently of how he might have felt about it. And that's what it really about. And I'm saying for me, you know, again, man, I'm just big on that boardroom, classroom, courtroom. It don't matter to me. You got to be accountable. That's how I was raised. I take that to my grave. Like, and you definitely can't put other people in the line of fire. And that's part of the accountability too, young. When you know you not being accountable potentially damages or hurts other people. That's like a double whammy. You know what I'm saying? Like, not only you did something that could be considered wrong, but by you not taking accountability for it, other people are potentially harmed.
You have to also, there's a moment where you have to be a leader and manage your loved ones, because nobody likes to see their loved one in that sort of situation, in the hot seat. Sometimes we do things that are wrong, and there's some people who still support us regardless of what.
For sure.
You know, the whole mindset of, man, wrong or right, we'll figure it out when we get home. That mentality, right?
Facts.
And if you know that you got to take accountability, but people are like the peanut gallery supporting you, you got to manage that.
Yeah, for sure.
And you got to be able to say to yourself, nah,
I can't take it. I got this one.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't sink the ship.
Yeah. Because people, you know, our family love us. Our friends love us.
Yeah, no question about it.
Right? But if we know deep down, I need to.
I
need to fix this.
Yeah, man.
And the other thing about fixing it is that sometimes it takes time to fix. And we be ready to apologize and move on, but like, it's almost like a deflection sometimes. Sometimes you do have to allow
sit in it.
To sit in it.
Bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just how it go.
That's how it go.
That's how it go, man. And that's why I think, man, like, yo, I pray every day that, you know, that I continue to make the best decisions that I can make, you know, sound decisions. But that's why I try to keep, and it's funny because I often think about, again, man, how strategic I had to be growing up, how strategic I had to be to even get here.
Yeah.
And so it's like program. I'm always thinking about, well, if I do this, what this, you know what I mean? Like, we just ain't got, we don't have the luxury to just do whatever, bro. Too many people depending on us. Too many people.
You know what I've seen as a common thread when it comes to accountability? People keep score, and that gets them in a lot of trouble. I've done 30 things for other people. I can do this one thing for me.
I know, man.
That has been a common thread that I've noticed when it comes to accountability and integrity.
I know, dog.
Keeping score. So I was telling you before we started recording, right? On the weekends, eat how I want to eat.
Sure.
You eat one wrong thing and like it can mess you up for a whole week.
Yeah, ain't that crazy though, yeah.
But you eat one right thing and it don't change
Yeah,
nothing.
I know.
So the right things you got to keep doing over and over again.
That's
but
it.
that one wrong thing can just blow it all.
Yeah, that's deep, man. And
You
it's the
can't
truth.
keep score, young.
You can't, young. Oh, you can't. Like, you know how I be. I know me. I can speak personally. You know, you just be like, damn. You know, the stakes be so high all our life, and
Yeah.
you be like, young, I didn't did the right thing all, you know what I'm saying? I done been disciplined. I sacrificed when everybody was doing this. I did this and da 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 da. But you can't look at it that way. Like you said, you gotta look at it like, nah, because guess what else happens? See, this the part that I always say though. But look what they going through. I got to keep doing it. Anybody even the right things, that's what I should be doing. Cause look what all my homies that, you know what I mean, made, look what happened. It's a real thing, bro. It don't end pretty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It don't end pretty, man. And you know, I think but what makes it easier as well is having people around you that's on that same path, man.
Yeah.
It makes it easier, bro. You gotta live within a culture that's promoting a certain way of life.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because again, man, if you the only one, Jack, that's just not sustainable.
It ain't.
It's not, man.
It ain't.
Real talk.
Yeah. So, you know, I think the purpose, again, of these conversations is to, one, give people a chance to kind of get into our heads and see how we thinking about these things, right? The one thing I love about this show, most people knew the two of us for action first.
Yeah.
And then we started talking.
That's right.
Whereas most of the time it's the other way.
I'm telling you.
So a lot of people seen the work that we've done, but now you get a chance to see
They know we
how
ain't
we
up
think.
here just pontificating.
Right. Yeah.
We really live this shit.
Yeah.
Real talk.
So, you know, I think the most important thing is to your point, be around people that are aspiring to be accountable for what
100%.
how they live.
That's right.
And be an example for them. They be an example for you. And that'll get you at least closer to what you want.
No
Right.
doubt about it, man.
So thank y'all for watching again. Heart of the City.
Heart of the city.
We got a lot of devoted people that watch every
Yeah,
episode.
man.
We don't take that for granted.
Love y'all.
Yeah, love y'all for real. And I'm glad that we able to provide this space for folks to, because I feel like they're part of the conversation, even if they're not talking, right?
yeah,
They're
for
part of
real.
the conversation.
Yeah, man.
So keep watching.
liking, sharing,
Yep.
watching. You hear me?
That's
Rest
it.
in peace to Stinker too, man. Love you, boy.
That's it. All right, one love. Heart of the City.
Peace.